Hi everyone, welcome to the Movie Section Show. My name is Fariba, and today we're about to watch Ahsoka episode 6. So we're now getting down to kind of the beginning of the end of this series. And so far it has been quite a journey. Just to kind of recap a little bit, as all you probably have watched, last week was episode 5, which was basically the biggest episode going to Ahsoka. As I have been even saying that, there have been a lot of speculation that episode 5 was going to be very Anakin Skywalker heavy. And indeed it was. And it definitely ended up having, for me personally, it was probably one of the most exciting moments, and yet also, in a sense, very emotional episode to watch, just because you are reflecting on how, you're not just watching kind of the sequences happening between Ahsoka and Anakin, but just really reflecting upon the fact that, this is like going back to kind of the nostalgia of Star Wars, especially in the prequel era. And not just that, but to see Hayden Christensen return as the formidable Anakin Skywalker after so mmany years. And now, of course, this is not his first time returning in the character. He came back as Obi-Wan last year, and I'm pretty sure he did voice work for Rise of the Skywalker. But this one definitely felt like it was really going back to kind of the basics, and also really showing sort of the power and strength that, Anakin was, that we didn't really get to see because, of course, he transformed into Darth Vader during the prequels. And yeah, that episode really just blew my mind. I even ended up, and here's the thing, right? With that episode alone, I've never felt like this ever before, where I'm just so sucked in to just understanding, learning about what has happened, the theories, speculation. Was it really Anakin? Was it really just Ahsoka's memory? I never really went too deep into lore, just like the way that I did, post episode 5. Once episode 5 had dropped, I just became a whole different person. And here's the thing, for the last week, since episode 5 had dropped, I've been getting so many, videos pertaining to that episode. All my YouTube recommendations were flooded with snippets from that duel between Anakin and Ahsoka. That's all I was ever getting. Of course, yesterday, I believe it was Entertainment Tonight. They were one of the few, I think they're the only source that was able to get their hands on a behind the scenes of the makings of episode 5, because of course there is the actors and writers strike. So Rosario and Hayden cannot do interviews during this time as a result of the strike policies. But I'm pretty sure because it was behind the scenes, this was pre-recorded long before, when they were filming the actual episode, that they were able to get their hands on the behind the scenes. And even just watching that, seeing just a snippet of what it took to really film that episode, it really brought a lot of chills down my spine. There was even one line, I believe it was the one where it's Ahsoka's I'm not gonna fight you, and Anakin's I've heard that before, which a lot of people have been saying it's a basic callback to Return of the Jedi, where Luke himself was facing off against Vader, and though Vader wanted to fight him, Luke's no, I'm not going to fight you. And so, lots of great callbacks, and not just that, but apparently Hayden himself had said that. So, had suggested that line. And as I said before, my phrase has been undeniably high for Hayden Christensen in that whole episode. It felt as if he was Anakin. He wasn't just Anakin again, but he was able to embody 3 different versions of Anakin: the Darth Vader, the Clone Wars, of course, the Revenge of the Sith. And again, he's been getting so much love. There's no denying. If you're on YouTube, on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, you'll see the comments section, how everyone, it's undeniable love for Hayden Christensen and his return as Anakin Skywalker. And as I said, because of the fact I've been so, invested in the snippets and the theories and just basically everything that just happened in episode 5, that was all I was able to really just, reflect on. That was all I was able to kind of concentrate on. That I ended up actually doing a second video where I decided to, do another breakdown video of talking about specific scenes, particularly focused on things like the Ahsoka versus Anakin fight sequences and the flashbacks and all that sort of stuff. And even to this day, I'm still like, I still cannot stop thinking about it. That episode really kind of changed my mindset going forward with this episode of this whole series, of course, and just what this could mean for the future of Star Wars. Of course, like, that would depend on what is being planned, what is being developed, what they have in stores. And of course, like, when it comes to Star Wars, it is a bit spontaneous, because one day you hear about a news that, that we're going to have a movie, right? By the way, I have, it's really bad right now outside. So that's why I'm like, my lights are flickering. So I'm hoping that I will be able to watch the episode calm and cool without any sort of, disturbances. But having said that, what was I saying? Oh, as I said before, like, with regards to Star Wars, it can be a bit spontaneous. It can be it could happen. Anything could happen to the point where, like, one day a movie could be planned and that may have been announced. And then the next day you'll know that, oh, either it became a TV show, or it's just no longer happening. It got scrapped out of thin air somewhere, right? And that's what happened, I believe, last week when there was that report about the Lando series, how instead of doing a show, now that's going to be a movie. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future, of course. All we do know is that we're going to have Ahsoka right here, of course, Andor, that which was actually in the middle of season 2. I want to say they had finished before the strikes, but I'm not 100% certain. But even that being the case, right? Everyone absolutely loves Hayden Christensen's return as Anakin Skywalker. He definitely put so much work, so much effort into that episode to really embody Anakin again in different forms. And again, he's been getting so much universal love. So yeah, going into episode 6, of course, there's going to be a lot of questions. For one thing, are we still going to see more of Anakin Skywalker? Like, I mean, there have been theories that this might not be the end because of a snippet from a trailer where he says some certain lines, and that particular line did not play any time in that flashback. So there is a possibility that we might actually see Anakin Skywalker once more. Maybe he might be far more involved in the show post episode 5. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see in just a bit. But of course, a big part of now moving forward is the arc regarding Admiral Thrawn, the search for him, and an extension, Ezra Bridger. Will they be able to find him? We know last time before episode 5, because episode 5 was just basically focused on Anakin and Ahsoka, but back in episode 4, we know that Morgan Elsbeth, Baylan Skoll, and Shin Hati, they all were, particularly Elsbeth was able to, get the actual orbit they have with a map to figure out the specific coordinates of where Thrawn could be. And now that's where they're basically traveling towards, hoping that, they have in possession the heir of the Empire. And who knows, we might be able to see Ezra because Sabine is with them, right? She is their prisoner, their hostage. And so now Ahsoka is now heading their way. Hopefully, the Purgles will be able to, travel to the destination that they're also going to be at, because we have no idea if they're going to meet at the same place, if the Purgles are going to end up in the location that, Ahsoka expects herself to find Sabine and everyone else. But yeah, moving forward, it seems as if it's going to be very focused on Thrawn. Will we see Thrawn tonight? It's going to be a big question mark. We know for a fact that he will show up at some point because of what we saw in the trailers. In the trailers, he did show up, and I believe about 1 or 2 scenes. I want to say maybe no for tonight, just because there's just a lot to kind of catch up, knowing that last episode was so focused on Ahsoka and Anakin's relationship, that dynamic, and Ahsoka trying to, forgive herself for what had happened and to, wash away that guilt. And now it's like, okay, we're jumping back into the main arc of the show, and therefore we need to kind of catch up a little bit. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right down into Ahsoka episode 6. What happened in there?
There's something I didn't tell her about Sabine.
Which is?
She went with the enemy willingly.
Impossible.
I saw it through the Force when I held the map.
Well, that is troubling.
She could have ended this. No throne. No war.
Oh, man,
no
she's reading
Ezra.
her disappointment.
She was fated to make that choice. There wasn't enough time to prepare her to make the right one.
The Force provides you with insight.
And second thought, tell me one of those stories.
Finally.
Your choice.
Very well. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Of course. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Where have we heard that before? Well, now we know the origins of those credits.
Me, I would see Ezra again. Hey!
Oh.
Hey!
Is he gonna break that promise? Just basic contradicting what he said in episode 4.
I've spoke of this place. It's the end of the migration route used by the star whales as they traverse the void from one galaxy
Star
to
Whales.
the other.
My people were among the first to harness and ride the creatures in the days before time was counted.
The whales came here to die. Iridia is a graveyard.
So Purgles are going to a gravesite? I'm assuming more witches.
In the dream, your visions guided me across the stars. More witches.
Long have
Okay,
we
cool.
waited for you.
And you
Jedi. It is dangerous.
So does that mean she is a Jedi and has the Force?
Where is he?
Ooh, is he starting to have second thoughts and feeling guilty by any chance? Ooh. Balon just keeps getting interesting and interesting.
Older than you are now. I watched everything I knew burn.
the Jedi Temple?
Couldn't make sense of it at the time.
Anakin Skywalker.
As you get older, look at history. You realize it's all inevitable. It repeats again and again and again.
And isn't it our turn?
Not
now?
wrong. He has a point.
Won't our alliance with Throne finally?
What I seek is the beginning. So I may finally bring this cycle to an end.
And that beginning is here.
If the old stories are true,
So, is he... okay. Interesting. There's a lot to really interpret from that. I don't know if that's implying trying to take out Thrawn. That'll be a very interesting twist. Oh, she's gonna try doing Jedi training right now. Okay. Jedi practice. Okay. Maybe this might be the moment. Is she doing it? Is she doing it? actually doing it? Oh no, it's I'm assuming it's Thrawn. Oh, is it the Purgles? Is it the Purgles? No, oh, it's Thrawn. It's Thrawn. It's destroyed. Okay. Wow, it's battered though. It's been so long. Oh shit. Oh. Oh, there he is! It's Thrawn! Oh! Oh my god. That seems so sinister. Oh. That score though hits! Oh, it's Thrawn!
What was first just a dream has become a frightening reality for those who may oppose us. Great mothers, I salute you. Soon we shall all...
His apprentice, Shinhati.
And you must be General Balin Skull of the Jedi Order.
Oh!
I parted ways with
He's
the
aware.
Jedi long ago.
You would not be the first.
The prisoner is Sabine Wren.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Thrawn.
What a delight.
Where's Ezra?
Ah, yes. The desire to be reunited with your long-lost friend. How that singular focus will reshape.
Gonna let me walk out of here?
You helped my cause. Now I shall help yours. You should know, though, that once my starship departs, you'll be stranded here forever. It's also quite possible that your friend is dead.
Damn.
If you survived, I'm sure he's doing just...
You've gambled the fate of your galaxy on that belief.
You wouldn't understand.
Shit.
Perhaps not.
I'd rather not waste any...
Be warned. Nomads wander this wasteland and prey upon each other for survival. Here are your weapons.
I thought you were to honor your agreement.
But he shall. Sabine Wren will have the opportunity of finding Ezra Bridger, just as promised. And if she does, you and your master will destroy them both.
Okay, that's not good. I thought Ezra. Oh god. What the heck up this is? They allowed her to keep the lightsaber? I'm just starting to notice that. I just realized that. Oh. Use the Force, Sabine. Use the Force. When will the Purgles arrive is my question. Okay. He has been shunned. find Ezra?
You got something?
Found Ezra?
You were thirsty.
Huh.
Is that it?
What in the world?
Okay, yeah, that trick's over.
Oh my god, what? That's an innocent little
I'm not gonna
creature.
hurt you.
No, it won't hurt you.
She can understand it. Oh, this guy knows where Ezra probably is.
You like this?
No, he probably knows where Ezra is, my girl. Child. Oh, he knows where Ezra is.
How's that possible? Ezra, do you know Ezra?
Jedi trained in the wild after the temple fell.
Vulcan Jedi.
Like me.
Okay.
No. He was trained as a Jedi. You, I trained to be something more.
The order.
I miss the idea of it. But not the truth. The weakness. There was no future there.
Oof.
Something calls to me. Can't you hear it? Something stirs here. Can't you see it?
I see bandits.
There's no need for bloodshed. The enemy of our enemy is our friend. For now.
True. Not gonna lie, that's cute.
I knew I could count on you.
That's Ezra. That's Ezra. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god, he has a beard. Oh.
No. Sure took you long enough.
Well, you didn't exactly tell any of us where you were going.
That's because I didn't know. It worked, didn't it?
Oh man, he's really embodying Ezra from Rebels. Aww, family reunion. Oh man, it's been so long. Aww.
How did you get here?
Let's not talk about that.
Mm,
Not right now.
it's a long story.
Sabine?
Hey,
Hmm?
I just want to be happy that I found you.
Oh, he's even wearing the contacts.
All
Oh
this
wow.
time, can I have that?
Sabine?
Oh, so they're nomads. He's
Thanks
been
for
able to live
coming.
nomad life.
Can't wait to go home.
Ooh. That might not be the case, but hey, Ahsoka's gonna come with the Purgle, so.
Has spoken to us. Another comes. A Jedi. They ride the travelers.
How did I miss Ahsoka?
Well, that is unwelcome news.
Oh, things are about to get a
Could
little
it be the
fun
reason
here.
he deceased Ahsoka Tano?
Impossible.
I thought it was beyond you. to underestimate a Jedi. He was once a Jedi. So, we must regard him as flawed.
Oh.
No, we should consider Ahsoka Tano to prepare her accordingly. I want to know her background, history, home world, her master, everything.
Our master?
If a star whale approaches Peridian, destroyed with prejudice. Great mother.
So that was episode 6 of Ahsoka, and things are finally progressing for one thing. But I can definitely get the sense of how this episode will be a mixed bag for some people. But I think overall, it's a good episode because for one thing, we finally get to the big moment that we've all been waiting for, and that is Admiral Thrawn's introduction. He's finally been found, right? And thankfully enough, I really thought that we were going to have to wait all the way up until like the finale. That was what I was assuming could have been the case, because that's what a lot of shows end up doing, that if they happen to, if there happens to be an instance where the show could continue beyond season 1, they would leave off the big reveal to like the very end. Thankfully enough, that was not the case here. We actually got to see Admiral Thrawn live action here, played by Lars Mikkelsen, the same guy who actually voiced the actual Thrawn in Rebels, of course. And here he is. He is front and center very well. And here he is, ready to, put out destruction into the galaxy and control and dictate the world as because he is the heir to the Empire, right? So we finally got that. That was a really cool snippet where they show his introduction, how his entrance was. So kind of a really eerie illusion, but But you definitely get this sinister eeriness out of him. You can tell that he has so much confidence. He is not holding back. So it's going to be very interesting moving forward how they're going to move forward with Thrawn's story, what he's going to do next, what's going to be his next move, of course. So that's going to be worth seeing the last 2 episodes. And of course, like, not just seeing Thrawn, but we get to see Ezra after so long, right? This has been building up for quite some time. We knew for a fact this was going to happen. I mean, the fact that there was this, hint of hope that he could still be alive, that's a huge thing. And here it is. We do see Ezra, and I gotta say, like, the fact that he has a beard, like, that definitely kind of threw me off a little bit, but also I'm just like, if you think about it, he probably learned that from Kanan, so he probably got inspired by Kanan's looks, but of course, like, he's living a nomadic life from the looks of it. He's living with those Tur-like creatures, so they've been, moving around a lot. So again, just a really welcoming family reunion. I love how they kept it very simple. Nothing too, boisterous, nothing too, over the top. It's just a simple reunion, just 2 people who have known each other for so long and haven't been separated as a result of things that happened during the war against the Empire, and seeing them finally united after for so long. It's so great. I mean, you can see how happy they were to see each other. Again, I love that it was really simple. I didn't try to do too much. I think it's a very well done sequence right there. So again, we'll see where it goes. Of course, again, Balon and Shin-Hati are now hunting them down in a sense because they do want to eliminate them, or otherwise, there'll be a problem to Thrawn's, a tenure to try and regain power in the galaxy. So we'll see where that develops. Again, I feel like, as I suspected, they're going to slow down a little bit from this episode from last episode, because last episode was like a really big moment, a big moment for Ahsoka, where she really had to kind of think about herself, reflect on herself, trying to deal with this guilt that has been haunting her for so long, this past of hers that's been, a grudge of hers for so long, and she got that resolved. Again, a big cinematic moment in a sense, where we saw her reunite with Anakin, although again, we don't know if he is real, if it was a memory. whatever it was, we got to, celebrate that big moment. And now we're back to the primary storyline, which is, of course, situation regarding Thrawn and, again, Ezra. And now we found them. And again, they did this in a way that it was a bit more on a slower pace. So it was definitely a bit of a slow burn with this episode, but I think it served its purpose because it was building up from what was kind of happening from last episode. And since it was like a reset of just the energy in the room, so again, I would not be surprised if they're gonna kind of rebuild from there just to kind of set up the stakes going into the last episodes, especially going into the finale of Ahsoka. And yeah, as I suspected, it was gonna be something that was gonna be more of like a development sort of type where they're just gonna go back to the storyline, nothing too, big, nothing too action packed, just a bit more subtle in the dialogue and just a hero's journey, in this case, of course, Sabine. So yeah, I think overall it served its purpose, what it needed to do. I think there's a big moment now that we finally got to this point where they've located Thrawn, they've located Ezra. Okay, that part of the arc is now done. Now we're gonna get to kind of the juicy bits, which is like the rising action, possibly even the culmination where the story could go now. Now that Thrawn has been found, that Thrawn is preparing to end his exile. So that's gonna be something to keep an eye on, of course, and of course. If you think about it, because remember back, I think episode 2, where Hera had to, basically had her meeting with the Senate and requesting that she would get backup to investigate whether or not Thrawn is still alive, and they all just shrug, saying that that's not possible, that is a myth, there's no possibility for it, and yet here it is. It's highly possible. We all knew this was going to happen, and now that's going to, that's going to cause some trouble now, because now that could be of course, Thrawn's going to be a huge threat to the Senate, the New Republic, all that sort of stuff, right? So again, it's only just beginning of this new part of the story, and hopefully by the time we get to the next episode, we'll see how things develop. As I sense in the last few seconds that the witches, basically, I can't remember what they're called, but the witches use their black magic and realize that Ahsoka is actually still alive, and so that means that she could be a threat to them. She could basically foil their plan that they have for Thrawn. So that's going to be an interesting bit. Now, speaking of Ahsoka, I think the one thing I feel like it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag for this episode is that we don't get to see Ahsoka as much. We only get to see her really in the first 2-3 minutes of the episode because she's still traveling with the Purgles to hyperspace through the different systems. And so hopefully I'm pretty sure by next episode she's going to arrive in the planet and find Thrawn, basically, and hopefully, in a sense, rescue Sabine and Ezra from where they are, because they are being hunted down by Balon and Shin-Hati. But it seems as if now they're preparing for her arrival. She is going to be a foil to their plan. She could literally be their undoing for all we know. So that's going to be an interesting bit right there. And then lastly, I think Balon's skull. I feel I swear to God, this character keeps getting more interesting by the minute. Because I feel like in this one, we definitely get to see a bit more of his perspective as to what his motives are, although it's still kind of really ambiguous what his true intentions are. But even having said that, I feel like this is an episode where we definitely get to see a bit more of his mindset, his thoughts, his feelings about not just the Jedi, but what's really going on with the Empire. And, of course, he's not really into the Sith stuff. He already said that before. But really kind of his own agenda of what he wants to do. He even, the fact that he even talks about the Jedi Order, remembering what happened during his during his time with them, how he thinks of them as like a false, in a sense like a false cult in a way for what they, believed in and thought was, a sham and all that sort of stuff. Very interesting perspective of how he thinks about the Jedi Order. He doesn't want to be a Jedi, but of course he doesn't want to be a Sith. And I'm assuming in this case, like probably not even in the range of being an Inquisitor, but he has some plan going on, right? He has an agenda. In a sense, it does seem as if he might not even be totally on board with the Empire, with Thrawn. I don't know. I feel like there was a kind of that hint where it's like, the answer lies here and that it will resolve his problems. Like, he doesn't get really specific about it, but it's giving me this impression that he too may not be too enthused by, Thrawn as well. Like, he has some sort of agenda. It seems as if he just wants to end all this, in a sense, like this tyranny, this power, this, hunger for control. He just doesn't, he feels like that, like it sets off a cycle, and that's what he kept on saying. And I think that's a one big thing that he was trying to prove a point in, is that no matter what, it's always going to happen. It's going to be a cycle, and it seems as if he wants to end that cycle. And so if he wants to end that cycle, it makes me assume that he has his own particular plans with Thrawn, and one that might not be in a sense that he's really an ally with him, but something else, right? And even that, he's like, oh, a friend of a friend, an enemy of an enemy makes them a friend. For the meantime, I feel like that could be an extension, like that could be an illusion. An analogy to what could be, what could happen between him and Thrawn. Again, there's still a lot of uncertainty because he is so like specific, like he isn't really like giving his full thought about it, but he alludes to them and he gives a hint of what he feels, and yet he doesn't tell the full story of it just because he wants to keep it to himself just a little bit, which is a very interesting thing about, again, he's a very complex character who has his own feelings about everything, and he's not very one-dimensional. And I think that's what really makes him so interesting, is that he is not one-dimensional. He's someone who understands, who's very, understanding, insightful about both sides of the aisle. And it seems as if he notices or knows for a fact that, regardless of which side he is in, there's going to be some bad, like they both have their flaws. They both kind of suck in a way. And it's going to be, again, I wonder what his plan is, what he really is trying to do. And I think that's what makes him such a very interesting character. So we'll see what it goes, because again, right now his main job at the moment is to find Ezra, try to locate Ezra and Sabine and seeing, basically destroy them, end them, all that sort of stuff, because that'll be one problem that will be out of his way. And of course, what that implies regarding his relationship with Thrawn is still a bit iffy. But yeah, just hearing his perspective in this episode and just what he has to say, like, it really intrigued me. So hopefully maybe by the time we get to the last episode, we get to get a much better sense of what he's feeling, what he's really thinking, what could be his actual plan, what's going on in his mind, because again, he's very insightful, yet he's very, ambiguous with what his true intentions are. So that'll be an interesting bit, of course. But yeah, I mentioned about Ezra, I mentioned about Sabine, I've mentioned about Admiral Thrawn, Ahsoka, and Balon. Yeah, I think I've mentioned basically about everything that I have to say about this episode. Again, I think it is a slow burn. It's definitely one that took a bit of a slow turn just because they had to kind of reset the energy up a little bit from episode 5, because oh my god, let's be honest, episode 5 is so great. This is a pretty good episode overall, but it's not my favorite. But again, it's because it's developing from what has happened. I think again, it's jumping back from episode 4 and again trying to pick up the pace from episode 5. And again, I don't think there's anything that can really replicate the energy from episode 5, but we'll see where it all goes. It seems as if they're really back to the main arc of the story, which again is about Thrawn, Ahsoka. Again, I think the only thing I can really say that could be a bit of a mixed bag is the fact that we don't get to see a lot of Ahsoka in this episode. I can see a lot of people criticizing that, because again, this is a show about Ahsoka. Ahsoka's name is literally in the title, and yet this episode we really get to see her. I mean, she is mentioned. We do get to see her in the first 3-4 minutes, and yeah, but of course, a lot of people. I mean, in a sense, it does feel like more like a Rebel season 5 than really an Ahsoka show, but. Hopefully in the last 2 episodes, we do get back to Ahsoka being the prime character, and maybe that will change the trajectory a little bit. Because again, I think the main point of it all is that I guess you can say her main objective is Thrawn, trying to stop him in any form of any way. As to how, we don't know yet. Hopefully she'll be able to also locate Sabine and Ezra, knowing that again, that was kind of what led to this whole scenario here, because Sabine basically gave up that orb so that she can find Ezra. Again, I mean, it's pretty clear that by the time we get to the next episode, the Purgles will arrive at their destination and locate Thrawn. But yeah, so far, slow development, but I think it's a pretty good, progress for where the story is going. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Ahsoka episode 6. What are your thoughts about episode 6 overall? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you think it was a bit of a slow turn? Do you think this was necessary given, what happened in last episode? We kind of needed that cool, kind of just a little bit of that cooler, relaxed moment, just a little bit, just to relax from what happened from last episode. This is what this episode needed. Of course, we do get to see Thrawn and Ezra. What are your feelings about it? Were you happy to see them? This is what you expected, or maybe you thought something different. What are your predictions going into the final 2 episodes? We only have 2 episodes left, and then that's it. Like, that's gonna be the end of Ahsoka. I don't know if we're gonna get a season 2 or we're gonna go straight into Mandalorian. Who knows, right? We don't know what the future is looking like for Star Wars as of yet. But what do you think going into the final 2 episodes? What could happen? What are the possible implications for the future? And do you think we're gonna see Anakin Skywalker anytime soon? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.